Hello, today is your day to actually wake up to hope at the table of redemption. We are in season 1, building bridges of hope and redemption in crises. Hello, everyone. I would like to thank you for joining us once again for this episode of The Table of Redemption. I am Rasheen Jamison-Richardson. I am producer, I am founder, creator of this show. It is based on my framework for crisis leadership, also my framework that delves into aspects of leaders who do amazing work, but somehow it gets funneled down into the day-to-day activities of life. And some leaders are able to do that well, some leaders are not. Leadership redemption is talking about ways in which we find leaders to have elements in them of redemption on how they keep rising to the top and how they're not taking no for an answer at all. And so what we're here to do today is dive into an EDLD version of what this looks like at Harvard Graduate School of Education. I have with me future Dr. Tremaine Holloway, who is right there getting ready to go into his residency. And I had to capture his experience and what this looks like for him. So everyone, please welcome Tremaine Holloway. And I want to ask you the question. So Tremaine, what brings you to the table of redemption?
Oh, first off, thank you so much for that introduction. And thank you so much, Rasheen, for having me on your podcast, your platform. I'm incredibly grateful to be in this space with you today, learn alongside you, learn with you. And I have to say, shout outs to Professor Liz City for manifesting this connection for us. I know that she's a person that means a lot to you, and she means a lot to me as well. So I'm grateful that she's made that connection and just you just allowed me to be here. So yeah, I'm here to share my story and also just kind of give people hope, inspire folks going forward to continue to dream big and have the dreams that they have and don't let go of the sight of having those dreams too. So whatever I can do to help others today is really what I'm here for.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to push and press and get some good answers out of you today. When he gave shout out to Dr. Elizabeth City, I met him when I first came into the door of Harvard last year. We did this coming in the summer. He was a teaching fellow for Liz. And then I didn't know she was going to be my academic advisor. But with Liz, when I was coming from Florida to Harvard, it was so much going on. And I had asked her where was my room. Now I know it was the Elliott Lyman room. But
Mm.
Liz was so kind enough to not just tell me where it was. She then walked me over there and my heart stopped racing. So I come from a plane ride, jumped here, I'm in Harvard, I don't even know what's going on. And I knew she was going to be the one. So therefore, when Tremaine and I are talking about Dr. Elizabeth City, we're talking about someone who inspires change, and she's behind my work in terms of this leadership redemption framework was on her desk the entire time.
Mm.
This podcast idea came from me talking to her because I told her I wanted to write a love letter to leaders. And I said, I don't know how to do it. She said, sing it or do a podcast. Then in the same breath, I'm going to Marshall Gans and I practiced it over there. And in his class, I came up with, yeah, I want to invite people to a table. But this table has to be about redemption, that we are here saying that we admit that we're perfectly imperfect. And so I'm trying my framework on those people who understand that we've had bumps and bruises in the road. Just because you see Harvard on us, don't let it fool you. We pay our dues, honey. so, so let's get into it. So, Tremaine, would you tell us a little bit about your background, what you do, and before we get into the story, right? We're not ready to get into the story yet, but just Just warm us up with what you do, who you are, and how you've navigated your journey at Harvard.
Yeah, so I won't get into the story yet, but thank you for allowing me to be at the table with you. And fellowship with you here in this space again. So currently, right now, I'm a doctoral student at Harvard Graduate School of Education. I'm in the EDOD program in my going into my third year actually, and as of July 1, as we're recording today, but going into July 1, I'll be starting my residency, which is the third year portion of the doctoral program here, where we actually get a chance to work inside an organization, school district, or an organization that's in the education ecosystem to help them with a strategic project. And through that development of the strategic project, we're actually creating our capstone dissertation.
Mm.
So we're writing our dissertation per se, or our capstone is what we call it here, based on whatever problem of practice or whatever strategic project and plan that we're doing in that organization. And I'm incredibly excited that I'll be staying local here and working in Boston Public Schools. It's a school district that I really do value and speak very highly of, and there's a lot of esteemed colleagues. There's quite a few EDOD alum that are actually in Boston Public Schools at this very moment, doing the great work. So I feel like I'll be surrounded by a lot of brilliance, not just from the EDOD alum, but also from the folks who are doing the great work in BPS to serve those students. So I'm really excited and looking forward to that. And my journey here at Hugsy, or as we call it, Hugsy, the beloved Harvard Graduate School of Education, this is my second time being here.
Mm.
So although I've had a chance to be here for EDOD, I was here almost 10 years ago now, as
Wow.
a master's student back in 2016. So this is my second stint being here, and I had a chance to interact with Uggsy at a different level at that time, where I was still trying to find my way and figure it out, is what I would say. I was much younger then. I was in my 20s at the time, and I was trying to figure out, what I wanted to do in terms of being an educational leader. And I think having that master school experience really helped propel me to get to where I wanted to be in life in terms of doing the educational leadership work. But this time around, I would say, instead of thinking about it from a professional development standpoint, or something that's going to propel me in my career aspirations, this time around being at Hugsy for the EDOD program, it's more about building community. It's more about building relationships. It's more about, making connections. So I've really taken the time to really be intentional about getting to know people, getting to, connect with brilliant minds like you, Rasheen, and others as well. So
Praise God. Hold
yes.
on. Mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's been a wonderful experience for me. I don't really necessarily have anything that I could say negative about my experience per se. Obviously, things can always be better in terms of being in institutions. But I'm really fortunate and really blessed to be here this time around and really having a chance to connect with such, brilliant individuals.
Okay, okay, excellent. Well, I am one of those ones that I don't think he said enough, honey. Okay, so listen, okay, so when you look up my colleague, you are going to find someone that we all think is very humble, someone who is very smooth going, easy going, but they didn't come to play the radio. I'm just telling you. When you look up Tremaine online, you're going to find some of the articles with these titles from HS principal to Harvard doctoral student. Okay. Sylvester Chisholm, Inside Harvard's Doctorate in Education. All these are featuring Tremaine, Reimagining Education, Global Career Tech. Okay. Okay. You see, he sounds so humble right now, but I'm just telling you, like, everything about his life is really ordained to me. It's like a full circle moment. And coming here today at the table of redemption, it's a circle table. It could be a square table any other day, but today, looking at his life and looking into what he's done and what he's doing and about to do, it's almost like we're getting into a full circle moment. So I really had to pause for a second for you to really understand that my guests are really accomplished. But the beautiful thing about it is they have an acumen about them rooted in humility, rooted in just knowing that we literally have done the work to be here, and that's what we're committed to do. Not just the work for us, but the work on behalf of others, and it continues. So when I asked you earlier about what brings you to the table of redemption, can you speak to any levels of mentorship and timing as through lines that are part of your journey in your life right now?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. I really appreciate that. Mentorship and great timing has been like the theme of my life, I would say, and I would be remiss if I didn't take it back all the way to where I grew up and who I was raised by, my family of origin. So I'm thinking about my mother. So my mother was an educator for 39 years. She actually taught me when I was in high school. So
Wow.
that's a form of mentorship, right? Like when we think about
Yes.
it, it was, and I tell people all the time that I survived that experience because that was a very interesting experience for me as a high schooler having his mom for a classroom teacher. My dad was a deacon in the church that I grew up in,
Okay.
North Carolina, in Eastern North Carolina. My sister, my oldest sister, believe it or not, is actually in education as well. She works in the kindergarten classroom,
Mhm.
and both of my grandmothers were very important to me, they were great mentors as well. They were community organizers in their own way. My paternal grandmother was like a Sunday school teacher at one time, and my maternal grandmother actually was a community organizer during the civil rights movement. So she worked with folks like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson during those times. So I myself feel like I come from a family that really values acts of service as the highest form of compensation,
Mhm.
and they really believe in helping others and serving others. But unfortunately, for the longest time, I didn't really think that was my calling. I didn't think that was the purpose of my life. I actually tried to run away from that calling, believe it or not. When I was younger, when I was in high school, 17 specifically, I had aspirations to be a professional athlete. I thought I was either going to be a NBA shooting guard or a NFL wide receiver. But unfortunately, when I was in high school, I had suffered a tragedy, and I remember that tragedy like it was yesterday. It was August 4th, 2005. It was the first day of football practice in full pads. I made every catch, I made every play, I made every block.
Mhm.
I did everything right in my mind, but yet it still went wrong.
Mhm.
A 300-pound lineman fell on my leg, breaking
Woo!
it in two places. And unfortunately, at that time, I didn't really feel the physical pain, until the college coaches stopped calling me and they stopped recruiting me. That's where I really felt like I went to kind of a really deep place of depression because at that young of an age, seeing your dreams kind of ripped from you was a hard thing to kind of get over. But again, great mentorship, great timing. I had a mother who was an educator, and she instilled in me the United Negro College Fund motto of mine is a terrible thing to waste, but an amazing thing to invest in. And so, because she was always on me, I always had good grades in school. And so that afforded me an opportunity to make a pivot where I actually began to focus more on academics and education, and that afforded me an opportunity to get a full academic scholarship to my undergrad at North Carolina Central University.
HBCU.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I love HBCU love all day.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was kind of the pivot in my life that put me on the trajectory that I'm on now, actually, because when I went to NCCU, I still had the chance to play college basketball there. So grateful to Coach Lavelle Moulton for allowing me that opportunity, who's still the coach there now to this day at NCCU. And I majored in mathematics. I pledged Kappa Alpha Psi. I did all the things that I really wanted to do in college. And beyond graduating, I became a high school math teacher. And so that was my entry point to education. And the reason why I became a high school math teacher was because the scholarship that I had received, the caveat was I had to teach for at least 4 years in order to pay it back. So that was my entry point to getting into education. Didn't think about it until then, right? So
Wow. So
yeah,
let me ask you this. Let's go back. What's mom's name?
yeah, Charlotte Holloway.
Good. Where
Yeah,
are you actually from in North Carolina?
yeah. I'm originally from Rocky Mount, so Eastern North Carolina, Rocky Mount. 252. Got to put 252 on the map.
Go ahead now. What is the name of your grandparents? This show, I want to dig in and
Yeah.
paint a full identity of who you are because who you are is who they are. And really also paving the redemptive path, the redemption already built in. So let's talk about their names.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for paying respects to the ancestors. Absolutely. The creator and the ancestors are the reasons why we're here.
Mhm.
So my maternal grandmother, Ida Ruth Body, God rest her soul, as well as my paternal grandmother. They're no longer with us here, but they are our ancestors. Maddie Revis Holloway. So those have been two pivotal figures who I believe are still mentoring me to this day. I use their wisdom and knowledge that they left here with me to inform me in my decision making. So I'm grateful for their mentorship, and I'm grateful for the time that they had here on earth with me to help raise me and cultivate me.
Yeah. What about dad?
And my dad, Irvin Holloway. Yeah,
You
that's
smile big on that one.
yeah. He's my twin. People call him when I was younger. They used to call him my twin because we look identical. We're like the same height. He's a little bit bigger than me though because he's got a little bit more muscles than I got. But
Yeah, he got more of everything than you got right now. Okay.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And
So,
they're still thriving.
here's my framework. Redemption starts early, and what I say is not all redemption is created equal, not all resilience is created equal. So,
Hmm.
what I loved about hearing Tremaine's story is that in the names of his mom, his dad, his grandparents, you hear civil rights leader, you hear educator, you hear deacon in the church,
Hmm.
you hear his, okay, tell me your sister's name, name her.
Yeah, Erica. I was gonna say, don't forget my sister.
No, I'm gonna tell you, you don't forget her, honey. She ain't gonna get me.
I was gonna say she would get me too.
She ain't gonna get me.
Yeah,
And I'm
Erica.
the baby of eight, honey, and I know my sisters would get me if I didn't. So that's my instinct saying, well, let's say on my show, I can say the Holy Spirit, honestly.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
not in Harvard, we're here.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay. I have
absolutely.
colleagues who are Muslim, so we say Assalamu alaikum. I have
Yep.
colleagues who are Hindu, we say divine hand. But in this house, my colleagues know which way we go.
There you
So
go.
the Holy Spirit said, you better get that his sister name right, honey. You better get him to get her name right.
The Holy Spirit will check you, right?
So here it is. Listen to all of this, right? We got education, we got ministry, we got civil rights, we got more education with the sisters, we have North Carolina Central, HBCU, we have mentorship, we have timing, and we have so far someone who has dreams and goals and just driven. So it's almost like when you're going into sports, I'm not sure what you thought was going to happen because I don't name all these things. I
It was
don't know
destined.
what you was going to happen in your life because God got his hand all over you.
It was destined. Divine intervention. It was destiny.
Isn't it? So look at how redemption is starting already. We haven't even gotten into doctoral, we haven't gotten into math, we haven't gotten into anything yet. Redemption comes for me. The reason why I started it is because I'm a child of redemption. I am my career, my life story, my family, it came that way. And so I had studied it so clearly, right? So when Tremaine is talking to us, telling us about how his leg was broken, he used the word in two places, he used the word tragedy. But what I want to say in another word is trajectory.
Mm,
It's almost like a divine force was on you and your family was hovering, whether it be from heaven or whether it be on earth. It's almost like something's pushed you right down that path
mhm.
and guided you right down that path, dumped you off into North Carolina Central. And because I'm gonna let you extend the story from here.
Yep.
And then from there, you get a full ride. And the full ride, the conditions are you must teach. And you majored in math
Yep.
and
Yep.
then you must teach it.
Yep.
Okay. And so now you teaching it, and this whole thing comes over you of educating young minds.
Yeah.
And then so how does that then lead you to now going from teacher to principle, or anything in between that brings us to the version you are today. And then next, I'll get into what resilience looks like in that one leg of the journey right there.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I appreciate that arc, and I also appreciate that reframe for me. I will take that going forward. I'm learning too while I'm on this podcast,
That's
right?
what it's about.
Yes. Trajectory. I'm gonna use that going forward.
Yeah, and I'm going to
Um,
write your story. I'm going
yeah,
to, this podcast, once we're done, I do the video, then I'm going to write it up and
yeah,
then make sure you have a story of redemption written by me. And when you're
love
telling
it.
it, it's going to be through a lens of redemption that you can always just have a piece, an artifact with you and tell it how you want on your TED Talk that's
Make it
coming.
plain. Make it plain for me. I love
Okay,
it. I love it.
go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I get into, being an educator and I do the education of I teach young minds and I'm still in education, obviously, but I taught formally for 4 years. I taught high school math for 4 years. And every year I just fell more and more in love with helping young adolescents achieve their goals and their dreams. And it's something about, I know there's a special place in heaven for kindergarten teachers, elementary folks, as well as middle school folks as well, because that's just not my ministry. That's not where I want to be. But it's something about for high schools for me, it's something about watching them go from being ninth graders, being teenagers, to growing up into adulthood, right? And leaving, high school and going directly into the workforce. Some of them are doing that, going into the 2 year, going into the 4 year, just, taking that step in adulthood is something that's always just been inspiring for me. And so I just really enjoyed being able to be a part of that journey, that arc of learning from ninth to 12th grade, especially with mathematics, because math, unfortunately, has always been one of those subjects where people are, quote unquote, are kind of afraid of, right? It's not a subject that people really enjoy all the time, quote unquote, unless you just are someone who's really interested in the STEM field. But most majority of people don't really, when you hear math, they're like, no, I don't want to do that math, right? Like so I enjoy being able to teach a subject, as one would say, as someone who is a limited presence in the classroom, like being a
Mhm.
black male math teacher,
Mhm.
it's very limited, when we think about the education profession. So that also gave me a little bit of hope. And also just, I thought that was great timing as
Mhm.
well in the place that I was at. So I taught high school math again for 4 years at Middle College High School. It was a school on a college campus that allowed for high school students to dually enroll. So when they were graduating, they would get not only their high school diplomas, but also an associate's degree. So it put them on a trajectory for them to be even more advanced when they leave, not with just a high school degree. So that was a great experience. And I've always worked in innovative sessions or innovative schools and innovative like education ecosystems, and I never really understood it. And I still am learning like, wow, like how innovative and creative I can be. But I've enjoyed the fact that I've had that chance to work in innovative settings. And in my 4th year, again, mentorship and great timing, right? I had a mentor by the name of Dr. Ontario Wooden, who still is at North Carolina Central University today as a provost.
Mhm.
In my 4th year, he was like, "Yeah, I think it's time for you to think bigger, to dream bigger. You should go back to school and get your master's degree. I think you could be a phenomenal educational leader. I'll write you a recommendation letter for graduate school, but it'll only be for one school, and that school is Harvard University."
Whoa.
And so, had he not provided that positive peer pressure to me, I would have never even thought about or dreamed or imagined of enrolling in Harvard University because it just wasn't not in my purview. It just wasn't on my mind at the time. Here I am, a North Carolinian through and through, not thinking about leaving the state of North Carolina, wanting to be close to my family. Um, but I'm so grateful that I had great mentorship that pushed me in that direction and
Mhm.
great timing as well to do that because had it not been for him, I wouldn't be able to say that, that was my first time enrolling at Harvard.
Wow.
So again, just, great mentorship, great timing, having the right people in your life that see something in you that you don't see in yourself,
Mhm.
is necessary and needed. And that for me is redemption. I
Yes.
think about it.
Come on, keep talking about redemption. Yes, keep the word on your lips, honey. Okay, so here we go. You talked about a really major word, pivot. When you talk about resilience, can you be one of the guests that I can ask to include that in the way you define resilience, and how does pivoting? Do you know my colleague? I call him my baby brother, Kazembe Abif.
Yeah, I do. I know
I
Kazembe.
did a whole session on him. His article,
Yeah.
pivoting towards youth, right? I
Yep.
just blew his head up all the way. But he did one on pivoting, but at the at the doctoral level, when you're talking today, feel free to go into what that looks like when it comes to levels of resilience. So go for it about levels of resilience that's in the side of redemption and
Yeah.
inside what makes this thing work for you when it might not work for someone else.
Yeah, when I think about the definition of resilience, because I remember when we first talked before we even had the actual podcast, but just the preparation, I actually went and I looked like I was looking at the etymology of the word resilience. And,
Okay.
there was a definition that came up about it being like the ability to spring back into shape, elasticity. So that came up, recovering quickly from difficulty and toughness. And so I was thinking about my own trajectory and like, how I've been able to make pivots is because I've thought about, the resilience that my ancestors had,
Yeah.
the resilience of the people who came before me, who've gone through even tougher situations, right?
Yeah.
Who've had to fight through slavery, who've had to fight through the transatlantic slave trade, who had to fight through racism and Jim Crow. And still were able to bounce back or spring back or have the elasticity to be flexible and adaptable in those times. And they knew that even during those times, they may not actually see freedom. They may not actually see
Ooh.
liberation. They may not actually see themselves living a life like I'm living, but they knew something, but they knew in their minds that the generations that were coming after them would have that. And so they were making a sacrificial, they viewed it as a sacrificial opportunity for impact. And
Mhm.
so when I think about
Say it
resilience,
again. Say it again. Say it one more time. A what?
yeah, that sacrificial opportunity for impact. That's Irvin Scott. So I got to give him a shout out for that
Please
one.
give him a shout out. That was beautiful. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, so when I saw that, it to me it just, it just makes me think to be resilient. You think about the people who came before you, and it's about what do you want to leave as a legacy.
Mm.
And I think sometimes we have to realize that we have resiliency in our bones as Black people, as in the Black culture. Like resilience is the blueprint that is in our bones because we've had it for centuries, for years. We've been able to withstand such test of time, which we should not have to, but we've been able to bounce back, to spring into shape, and to be the elasticity, to be flexible, to be adaptive, realizing that we had to make pivots in order for us to be successful. And I think because that's ingrained in our DNA, resilience is something that we just, automatically subscribe to. So when it comes to making pivots, it may not seem easy at first, but we know we have the capacity to do so because we've seen our ancestors create the blueprint for us. So that's what I think about with resilience.
Yeah, this was really good. It's on the good side where I got chills when you were talking, because this is very serious, because you use several words in resilience. You use several words in pivoting, but there's a key word you use is adaptive leadership,
Yes.
being able to be that person. And I have a colleague of mine also, she's from India, Aswarya. We were just talking
Yep.
about levels of resilience based on what she defines and what she's building, also a framework in resilience.
Mm,
I do a lot of making sure I give honor and credit where honor and credit is due on my show and in my life in general. But what she was saying on her episode is that levels of resilience to her in this modern day time, she's in her 30s, is that why did you have to suffer so much? Now
mm.
resilience is standing up.
Ooh, I love that.
Now this, I'm paraphrasing what she said. Now this is my way of just paraphrasing what she said. To her, resilience is standing up now, standing strong, and being present for you.
Hmm.
And what I was expressing to her is that, but we did have different ancestral bloodlines that wasn't the case. So
Hmm.
our generation get a chance to define it that way,
Hmm.
but there was a generation who paid the price so that we can actually stand up. when it talks about, when you're talking about resilience, can you go back a little bit in terms of adaptive, the adaptive part, and just draw a picture, draw a little parallel between what you had to do between becoming a teacher, then to the principal, because that's a lot of elasticity. That's a lot of resilience in there that I don't want to go unnoticed in your story. So can you paint that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely different levels when it comes to leadership. I think teachers are leaders in themselves because they're leading, they're youth serving professionals, right? They're literally the ones who are directly impacting learners, adolescents. So I think, there's definitely different leadership from being in the classroom, transitioning to an assistant principal, transitioning to a principal. And I think the main thing in terms of like resilience and what I learned from the classroom that helped me think about when I was making the transition to becoming an administrator per se was that I had to identify who my learner was.
Mm.
And I think that's a mindset shift. That's the adaptive leadership piece because we can have all the technicalities, we can have all the spreadsheets, the Google Sheets, the agendas to run meetings as leaders, but the mindset has to shift, and that's the adaptive and flexibility piece. Because when you move into administration, you're not necessarily directly impacting the learning of the youth in the building. You're actually directly impacting the learning of the adults in the building.
Ooh.
So that's the mindset shift that you have to have when you move into administration as an assistant principal, as a principal. You have to think about who is your direct learner or who's being impacted by the decisions that you are making directly. Folks who you are supervising, folks who are, um, directly on your in your line of insubordination.
Mm.
Those are the people that you're actually you're trying to support their learning because supporting the adult learning in the building is the mindset shift that you have to make, and you have to be resilient enough to know that when I was a teacher, it was a certain way. I had control over my classroom or my periods of the day. But now, as an administrator, the mindset is it's not directly what I am doing is actually going to impact and influence the adults. And then I have to influence the adults so that they can have a more direct impact on the students. So that becomes a system level mindset that you have to have. It just can't be about one classroom. You have to think about a multitude of classrooms. You have to think about a multitude of people and layers. You have to think about a multitude of communities because within that school, you have many different communities that are coming together. You have multilingual learners that are coming together. You have an array of cultures, a diversity that's coming together. And so, how are you influencing and thinking about your adults to make sure that they are thinking about the multitude of communities, the cultural responsiveness, the cultural humility, as some would refer to it as. So that's the mindset shift and resilience you got to have as you move into building administration and leadership in general. You have to be mindful of the fact of who is your direct impact learner.
Mhm. And this is me being able to press in a little bit when I'm talking to Tremaine, just to give you as the viewer and the listener like a tangible item, a deliverable. That what he's saying is we're not just defining resilience because that is the core, Tremaine, of when I'm building the framework. It is to make sure that this will serve as a backup generator for leaders of your day, right? Who
Mhm.
are doing this work. It's so easy to talk about it sitting down, but research says that the average principal only has about 3 to 4 minutes per item to make a decision. And so nobody's sitting around thinking about your resilience in the middle of trying to break up a fight, trying to get the lunch order. Nobody. So my framework is going to be able to visit you and tap you on the shoulder and say, wait. You remember that podcast that we was talking about? Okay, this is what we're saying. But okay, so let's get back into the frame of here.
Yeah.
So here we are giving you a tangible, like something that you can do. So he talked about mindset shift. So
Mhm.
in your language, you may say growth mindset, fixed mindset. I'm thinking you're gonna need a growth mindset.
Yeah.
It would behoove you to want to climb the ladder of success. Like, okay, there's so many areas when you get to Harvard, there are people who paid the price to be where they are. You can walk up to any one of us or any of our professors, they are the most humble people. But when you sit down to talk to them the way I'm talking to Tremaine, it'll be the time you would hear that this is no game. Like this is something that we've committed our life to. So at this point, your first thing I want you to you're taking away from Tremaine's story of redemption is that he actually has a story of redemption. Okay.
Yeah.
He has like resilience, bounce back, bounce up, bounce. He can just do all the bouncing. But he comes from a lineage. That's the word I want to use. Okay. Many people are saying ancestors. That's fine. But I want to paint the picture that there's a lineage that comes behind you. And when you do this work, whether you acknowledge it or not, because there's some people that are self-made and they just say, I did it on my own. I'm not continue to do that, but I'm just telling you that you have a force that's guiding you towards a path of redemption through the door now of sports, then through the door now of higher education in terms of North Carolina Central, then through the door of education, then open up another door to be a math teacher, then open up another door to be assistant principal at one time,
Mhm.
then to principal, Harvard the next, and another Harvard that's on deck. Okay, this is my job, y'all. I have to paint the picture. It's like it's really important because we're dealing with human lives that are very busy people. Now, here we're talking about this. Your job, for me, your first job is to recognize that in you.
Hmm.
That's your first job for me to ask you as the viewer, listener, however you get this information. Jot down on a piece of paper, what are you doing to climb? And then that's the only way you're going to be able to find where redemption sits at because you can fall through the cracks at any given moment. You can fall through the cracks. So this leads me to my next question for you, Tremaine. When we talk about pivoting, adaptive leadership, resilience, when we talk about all this stuff, who do you believe has paid the price for your pivots?
Ooh, man, that's a deep question. Who's paid the price? I'd have to say, man, my family. Being a husband, being a father of three, they've paid a lot of, cognitive currency into the decisions that I've made and my pivots that I've made as well. I realized coming to Harvard, not only the first time, but also here being in the doctoral program, that they are also coming to Harvard too, right? They are also making a decision to
Mhm.
move wherever we move from, right? At this particular time, we moved 3,000 miles away because I was in Seattle, Washington before coming back to for the doctoral program. And we were there for 7 years because I had an amazing experience out there, great mentorship again, great timing, being out there with a wonderful two wonderful superintendents, excuse me, Dr. Susan Enfield, who's a Harvard alum, and also Dr. Ivan Duran, who's still currently out there. They just gave me great opportunities to become the assistant principal, to become the principal of high schools, to become a founding principal of a school that's still there to this day. And so, through all those things, through all those many pivots in the 7 years that I had there, from making the different decisions and becoming different in different leadership roles, my family, they paid the price for those pivots too, right? Because they knew that their dad, they knew that their spouse, when I'm speaking about my wife, was going to be going into more, a different setting in terms of being a learner, but being a lead learner.
Mhm.
And they've made plenty of sacrifices for me. So I'm forever grateful for them allowing me to, achieving my dreams. In fact, I got to tell this story because if I don't, I'd feel like I'd miss out on an opportunity for someone else to get some healing. My oldest, my daughter, she's 16 now. But at the time before we were about to make a decision on moving here to Harvard, in Seattle, there was a school by the name of Raisbeck Aviation High School. It's a highly selective, competitive school, which is always like the number one in the state. It was in our school district. And my daughter actually got into that school.
Mhm.
Um, and we found out that she got into that school the same week that I found out that I got into the Harvard EDLD program. And so at that particular moment in time, we're talking about, paying the price for these pivots. We had a conversation. We did the, father daughter, let's come visit Harvard to see if we like it or not. Um, and on that trip, I remember coming back and having a conversation with her and saying, "Hey, I've been to Harvard before, right? Like it's not going anywhere. It's been here since the 1600s, right? If you really want to go to the school here in Seattle, which I really want you to have an opportunity to do that because I know it's something that you care about. I am okay to wait. I'm okay to defer.
Mm.
Um, I'll be fine, right? Like I want you to have the high school experience that you want." And I'll never forget what she told me. She said, "Dad, I need you to chase your dreams so I can know what it feels like to chase mine."
Say
And
it again. Say it again. Come
yeah,
on, say it again.
I need you to chase your dreams so I can know what it feels and looks like to chase mine. Um,
One more time and put the word dad on it. Go ahead. Go ahead. One more time. Come on, say it.
yeah.
So preach it. You can
Yeah,
preach
we'll
it too,
preach
you know.
that. Yeah, Dad, I need you to chase your dreams so I can know what it feels and looks like to chase mine. And I don't get a lot of things right being a dad. I'm not perfect whatsoever, but I think that was one of those moments where I was like, okay, maybe I am doing something right here.
Mm,
Uh, but I know that she made a sacrifice too to come here, and now it's a great experience for us because we've had that moment, and also it's a legacy building moment too.
mm,
So I'm making a lot of these pivots. I'm making a lot of these decisions and changes and chasing my dreams because just like my ancestors, I'm trying to provide a better life, a better opportunity, a better foundation, and build a legacy for my own family, the Holloway lineage as well. And
mm,
so when we were in Seattle, Harvard was just but a dream to her. But
mm,
now that we are literally on Harvard's campus, she sees it every day. It's a lot more tangible for her. If she wants it, she feels like she can get it, right? Because it's right here. And I think that makes a total difference when you're
mm,
right here living it and you're breathing the air here.
mm,
Um, so I know that was a sacrifice, but it was a beautiful sacrifice, and I think it's going to make a large impact going forward. Whether she decides to go to Harvard or not, it's the fact that she now believes in her mind,
mm,
similar to the young man like me who didn't think because I wasn't in this area that Harvard was even an option for me. But now that's like an option for her, and it's not something she has to think about, as well as my other kids as well. So it's yeah, people are paying sacrifices. Family, the people who are closest to you are probably the ones who are going to make the biggest sacrifices for you. But
mm.
they also recognize, just like what I said earlier about Irvin Scott, they, I think my family has recognized that this pivot was a sacrificial opportunity for impact.
Yeah, good. You speak so well, and it makes me want to dig and dig and dig. And we have to move on here. I just want you to know. But wait. So,
I love it. I love
please
it.
tell us your wife's name and your three babies' names and their ages, and please give them their
Yeah,
own shout out.
absolutely. Shout outs to my wife who makes all things happen in this household, Siobhan Holloway. And then shout out to my babies. Uh, Ava is our oldest. She's a 16-year-old. Kingston, that's my man. That's my son, our middle child. And our baby girl Nova. She's one. So she really is the one that runs the house. But shout
Okay,
out to
okay. She got a combination of all the ancestors all down to her down to Nova. She's gonna be supernova.
Super, yep,
Okay.
yep. That's her nickname. That's what we call it too, Supernova. Yeah, yep. She came into this world ready. So yep, she's Supernova is what we call it.
Isn't that something?
Yep.
So we want to get into purpose. That's
Yeah.
the pillar of the framework. I'm not sure how you could have done any of this without knowing your purpose. It sounds like to me, when I'm thinking of your story of redemption, your purpose found you.
Yeah.
So you can talk on that a bit,
Mhm.
but just to give the viewer some clarity and context, when I am trying on my framework, the leadership redemption framework, it comes with pillars. Pillar one is your purpose. Pillar two is how do you sustain your impact in leadership? Number three, how do you honor and obey your human intuition? Number
Mm,
four talks about your well-being. I added one. Five is going to be your spirituality. And number six is like your lifespan. So we're just here at the top. We might not have to go over everything because he's already speaking. You can pick out what is lifespan, what is this as you want. But it looks like to me when I am interviewing Tremaine is that his purpose found him. He had one. He had one. He knew what he wanted to do. It's not like his mom would allow her kids to not know what needs to be done in her house. I ain't never met her before, but baby, you better know what you wants to do here. Okay. So so but it looks like he had one and then one had him. That's the way it looks to me. And then now it looks also like it then called him. It started calling Tremaine, Tremaine, Tremaine. Come here, come here, come here, come here. Like it just feels that way, even delving into just this 45 minutes we've been talking. So go back to your version of purpose. Like pick that apart, if you can, if you would like to take a moment to pick out purpose for you versus resilience, because resiliency is the bounce back part. But what are you bouncing back from and what are you going to me is getting into what your purpose is.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the just delineation of the framework as well. That's, I'm learning so much from you just on this podcast as you're breaking down my story for me. So I really appreciate that. Hearts
Yes.
and love to you. I appreciate
Uh-huh.
that. I typically use purpose and calling synonymously, and
Ooh.
there's a quote by Emmanuel Acho. At least I attribute it to him because I heard him say it was like you don't find your calling, your calling finds you. You just got to be willing to pick up the phone.
Ooh. You got to say that again on this show. Go ahead, say it again.
Yeah, yeah.
Pick
You
up
don't
your
find,
cell phone.
yeah, you gotta pick up that phone. You don't find your calling finds you. You have to be willing to pick up the phone. And I think truly, I mean, going back to this, the trajectory, right, that I had experienced in high school, I think that's where I had decided to pick up the phone, right? When my
Mm,
calling found me. That's why I really discovered, thinking about my family of origin, thinking about the sacrifices that my ancestors had made, and also, the work that my family has done has always been to help and serve others. And so at that time, I really found my purpose and my calling, and that to me was what I refer to as inspiring hope. And hope to me is an acronym. Hope is helping other people evolve.
ooh,
So helping other people evolve, I truly believe is my calling. It is my purpose. And it's one of the reasons why I feel like I flourish in this education space because at the end of the day, everything that I desire to do is to help others, to help other people evolve. And sometimes I like to even use hope interchangeably in education specifically to say helping others pursue education, because that's also an acronym for hope as well. And I'm not saying that education is the panacea, is the answer for all things, but I do believe that education is a vehicle that can help with social mobility, social efficiency, creating good citizens, no matter where we are in this world, in this globe, or on this globe, on this earth. And so, but it all, to me, it all just comes down to the simple thing of just hope, and that's helping other people evolve.
mm,
And so everything that I desire to do in this work and in this field, and even if it's not in education, I just, the nature of my being is to help others, to
mm,
help other people evolve.
mm. Listen, I don't know why I felt like your daddy would be so proud of you saying all these big words. You saying panacea. Like they said, the word of God is the overseer, the panacea is infallible.
You're hilarious. You're hilarious.
Y'all, this is my show. I'm telling you, this is my show. I want you to know that because we come here to be real for once in our day because we had to get back to being prim and proper and doing that stuff we got to do. But
Yep.
anyway, these leaders are real people. Like Tremaine is a real person. He comes from a real family, has real sacrifices. Okay, so when we talk about this hope, the AOCC that you're a part
Yeah.
of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, I
Yeah.
wrote that in back. I said, wait, it was what? Critical hope.
Hope. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. In a time of
Without
need too.
critical hope.
Mhm.
And at this given time, you're looking at the face. Tremaine was a critical part of bringing that conference together this particular year. He and a couple of my wonderful colleagues, I would give a shout out to Angelique Smith.
Yeah, big sis.
Yes, honey. So
Definitely.
I tried to get on my podcast, but she'll see it, and she didn't on here yet, but she gonna get on my show.
Oh,
But this
we'll make
coming
sure she's
in,
up here. We'll make sure she's up here.
very good. I'm gonna put you on duty. So y'all, we're having a lot of fun unpacking some tough topics. These are tough topics. And but when I look through the lens of redemption, I feel like we're doing a pretty good job of walking through this. As Tremaine is taking this journey with me as I am hearing, right? Spiritually, also academically, also personally. I too am a wife. I too have an extensive career, 20 years of experience, plus some in the same field, cross sector of nonprofit innovation, the performing arts, also in entrepreneurship and organizational development. So sometimes when you are doing all these different things, even your hope as a leader is challenged. So the thing you're saying you're giving to someone else, you don't even have on day. You don't even have. You probably don't have the H, not OEP. You probably have an E, but you don't have the P and the O. All the stuff get missing. So we have to shake you up and say, get your hope back. So unless we attach our hope to a purpose, is what we're talking about. I'm tying it back in. Unless we attach this hope to a purpose, it's almost like your redemption falls through the cracks. But that's the whole point of redemption, to get it back and come back into alignment. So my next question to you, Tremaine, will then be we talked about sustaining impact informally, right? But let's get to human intuition. How much does your instincts, your gut feelings, your key play into make you making key decisions in these critical times when you're leading?
Yeah, that's a great question. I really appreciate that. I think for me, it kind of ties back to my values. I think
Okay.
I try not to make this, well, any decision that I make, and not even if it's professional or if it's personal, any decision that I make, I really just try to operate out of my core values. Faith is one of my core values, like believing in a higher power, believing in a higher calling. And so I'm definitely utilizing that when I'm making my decisions, listening to not only my inner self, but what the power may be, what God may be saying to me. So that's something that I'm utilizing. Um, another one of my core values is hope, like having that optimism that things are going to be great, things are going to be good. What good is going to come from this? What am I going to learn from it? And so making decisions based out of faith and hope, I think really do help support with those decisions. And if I think more specifically about my educational core values, I always tell people my educational core values or my three E's: equity, excellence, and entrepreneurship. When I
Mm,
talk about equity, equity for me is ensuring that those who are furthest away from educational justice, furthest away from educational opportunity, how do we find ways and strategies to bring them closer to it?
mm,
So that's what I'm all about when it comes to equity. And then when I think about excellence, it's not necessarily about it's to me it's more about high expectations. It's about, how do we I expect the best from my students and learners because I want the best for them and they also deserve the best.
mm,
So excellence really speaks to me about like having those high expectations. And then entrepreneurship, and that's really more thinking about how do we create innovative solutions? How do we really tap into just different ways of thinking in order for us to really strategize and think about schools and reimagine them in a different way. We can't keep doing the same thing the way we've done them, years and years and centuries ago and expect different results,
mm,
right? We're now 25 years into the 21st century. So what worked in the dot-com bubble is not going to work now in the AI generation. So we really have to think about what we mean by 21st century skills. Innovation can kind of be very broad. And so I really think about entrepreneurship. How are you tapping into that mindset, that critical thinking mindset of thinking about things for how is it going to impact the future? So you really got to have an entrepreneurial mindset when it comes to that. And oftentimes in education, because it's such a systematic and institutionalized field, we don't really think a lot about entrepreneurship. But some of the best leaders that are in our world are the best entrepreneurs. And so if we could take that same mindset of these entrepreneurs and leverage that and use that to reimagine the system of education, I think we will get, some incredible learning experiences for our communities and our families.
Mhm.
So that's how I really try to make decisions based on my core values and specifically those values that I think about when I'm in education.
And so that's how Trey would rely on his human intuition. He attaches human intuition to core values. Core values are then attached to these decisions. So basically, human intuition is layered and goes into core values. Core values come out and turn this way, right? And then core values then help him make, to me now, stems and it build bridges to me. From what my colleague is saying, it builds bridges to other pathways based on your decision. So if I want to then kind of like play the other side of the fence, those who don't use human intuition, you just jump right in and make a decision, and you just rush up, make that decision. You get in that wrong relationship and stuff like that. And you get in that wrong, you say yes to the wrong things and no to the right things.
There you go.
So I'm gonna just pause right there. You have to tell me, say it again. Go ahead.
Say it again. Say it again.
Okay, since I told him to tell me, then he did tell me, I'm gonna say it again. Human intuition is a component where you distinguish yourself and you get a chance to utilize your God kind.
Mm,
See,
yeah.
when you leave that component out as leaders, okay, just in general, anywhere around the world, just say it doesn't have to be leader, but my framework is leadership redemption. That sometimes when we are in these tough moments, 4 minutes, school principal, 4 minutes per decision. That's all you got. You walk into the principal's office, say, for me, I was a course teacher. Principal Holloway, I would like to take my kids to Carnegie Hall, and they're walking on, looking on a document. Give me some more information on that, and they go back to doing what they was doing. You get it?
Yep.
So here we're talking that human intuition is saying we're going to discern before we decide.
Mm,
Right? Then, even when we decide, we're going to determine.
mm,
And even when we determine, we are still going to be willing to make detours.
mm.
And pivot is another way of saying detours. Now, don't pay attention on my screen if my head going in and out of this blurred thing, because y'all get distracted real quick. Don't pay no attention to that. You better listen to what I'm saying, because we getting somewhere here today. We preaching up from North Carolina up the street here.
I love it. I love it.
So here we go. Get something out of this. Get something out of this, what we're saying. Because when you leave off that edge of human intuition, you know what you saw, you know what you felt. When you know that day when you saw a teacher not feeling well and you thought that you could just walk past that classroom that day like any other day and just think that, oh, I'll double back when on my way to do my school rounds. But that next day that teacher was out sick for 2 weeks.
Mm,
You had a human intuition that you have to obey and honor even in leadership, even when you're so busy.
hmm
So what I love what Tremaine is saying is that he is not a fly-by-night leader. He makes decisions based on a protocol and a built-in system, value system that's built on all these little things. And to me, these are not his words, they build bridges of hope. So
mm.
how in the world are you going to build a hope? You can't even discern where hope is needed. Just because somebody tell you they hopeful, you got to follow them to the end to see what they're doing that looks hopeful.
Come on now.
Because see, now you have a whole team, a whole body of people that's depending on your hope, and you don't even know how to tell them, baby, I don't have none today. Because my children and my family need mine now. And then what if I skipped out on giving Ava and Nova and your wife? What if I skipped out on giving my family hope to give y'all hope,
Yeah.
which happens in leadership? So this is why my framework goes goes down this path to say, let me check you at the door about this.
Mm.
Let's get something in place in the earth that we begin to check our leadership at the door to say, let's get back up there. Next go around, let's see how much of your human intuition can play into how you're going to make the decision. And unless you're taught that and given permission to do that, you are just a regular scholar, which is amazing. You're great at academia, which is amazing. You're even great at entrepreneurship, which is amazing. But the pivots, the adaptive leadership that we talked about, the resiliency we talked about, the purpose we talked about, all that goes into one bundle of being able to navigate your presence through this world of leadership. So I hope you're getting something out of that. So as we go ahead and pipe down a little bit, let's talk about well-being,
Mm.
your own personal well-being. Look, you are your mom's name is Charlotte.
Yep.
You her child first.
Amen.
You are a son. Okay, you are a brother.
Hmm.
You are a husband. You're a dad. You're a master's student at Harvard. Hold on. You're a bachelor student from Central, a master's student from Harvard, and a doctoral student at Harvard. These are three different men. The North Carolina Central man, then the Harvard master's man, then the Harvard doctoral student man, then the Kappa man.
Ah.
Oh, don't play with me because I can read, baby. I knows how to read. Now we up to nine different. Hold up, my pinky won't stay up, but we got nine. Well, let's okay. There we go. Nine. Then I'm gonna tell y'all right now, Trey. People, these professors love him. They eat him up. Okay.
Now, now you know, don't lie to the people.
No, don't even try that because he's the TF for Gen Right
Yeah, Dr.
and
G.
Liz City. Didn't you TF for Irvin Scott?
I did not tee up Irvin Scott, but that is my guy though. That is my guy.
Where am I lying at? I tell you, I'll blow your head up on this show. But listen, okay, I ran out of fingers. I won't put my toes on screen. I won't do it. So when I talk to you, my colleague and my friend, about your well-being, I want this in your head from my podcast to you moving forward, all these layers. And each of these layers have their own response systems and their own way of trying to say to mom, you say yes, ma'am. To your wife, you say yes, dear. To dad, you say yes, sir. To cameraman, you say whatever y'all call is and stuff. So painting this picture deeply is my job. It's my job and duty on this podcast. So when you're answering well-being to me, it is talking about how does Trey and how has he been able to successfully, knowing it's a work in progress, come to this person you are today, and how do you sum up your well-being and holding it all together for the people?
Yeah, I appreciate you actually giving the visual of the multiple roles and complexities that I do hold. The one thing that I am working on well-being wise is how do I just be me?
Woo!
I think that's something that I've struggled with earlier in my 20s and now I'm in my mid 30s. I think I focused a lot on how I could, advance myself career aspirational wise. And because of that, I took on all these roles, right? These roles of being a leader, these roles of being an educator, and what it looked like, being a father, being a husband. These are like very large roles, being a Kappa man, being a son, being a brother, being a friend, right? Like
Ooh,
being a
that's
friend,
one. Yes.
right? Like,
I was gonna go on my toes.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Like, I truly do value connection and relationships. That's another one of my core values. I didn't mention it earlier, but like relationships and connecting with people, that's one of my values. And so I realize that I do hold a lot of complexity in terms of these roles. But as I get older, I realize that, within all those roles that I do have, I also have to be very mindful of the amount of cognitive currency that I'm giving to those roles and ensure
Mm.
that I'm giving that same amount, or if not more, to just me. Because I
Ooh.
can't fill someone else's cup if my cup is empty. And
Mm.
so I can't always, excuse my grammar, but I can't always be pouring, is what the young folk would say. I can't always be pouring, right? Like, so I also have to make sure that my cup is being filled as well. And so I've done a better job in my 30s here thinking about my well-being from a physical aspect. So working out, going to the gym on a more consistent basis is something that I've tried to embody. And it's also something I'm trying to model as well, because within that role that you said of being a husband and being a father, there's roles of modeling that I have to do also. I have to be willing and able to model what it looks like to be physically fit or just in good health and good well-being, so that my son and my daughters can also see that as well and
Mm.
be able to do that when they become adults, when they are out on their own. And so I've really the experience of being a doctoral student, it's a privilege to be here at this university and learn from some of the most amazing, brilliant scholars and professors. But one thing that I've really valued more than just the learning piece was actually, having the ability to kind of take a pause and
Mm.
to be able just to not have to really worry about being in the workforce at this moment.
Mm.
That I realize that is a privilege, right? That I don't necessarily need to be in the workforce at this moment. I get a chance to really step back and do learning for myself and my well-being and my learning in this 3-year program that I do have, which to your point earlier, I don't think a lot of leaders, principals, school leaders, district leaders in general really take that time just to reset and resist,
Mm.
the all the multifacetedness of demands that they do have. And so I realize that is a huge privilege that I do have being in this Cambridge bubble, the
Mhm.
being able
It's
to sit
bubble.
back.
Mine about
But
to be bust because I'm about to leave out here in a couple.
exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Go ahead.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so I don't take that lightly. And it's allowing me to reset and reimagine and really think about, how do I want to view life going forward? How do I want to view work going forward? Do I want to work to live, or do I want to live to work? Right? Like I want to
Hold on,
think
hold on, hold
about
on. You know you got to say that again. You know to
it.
do that. Go ahead.
For real. I think earlier in my life I was like living to work, because I remember coming home and, from a long day of being a principal. I remember going to the office at 7:30, 7 a.m. and then sometimes not getting home until 7:30, 7:30 p.m. and still thinking that I needed to open up my computer because there's still more I need to do. And that to
Mm.
me was more living to work,
Mm.
right? But now I'm trying to kind of shift that mindset. I don't want my um, I don't want my career. I don't want the work that I do to feel like um, I don't want my family to feel like I have to fit them into my work.
Oh,
I
that's
want
good.
my I want my work to fit into my family and my personal life. And so
Mm.
that's something that I've been on my well-being journey of thinking about healing, and having the privilege and honor to work with Dr. G for this past year. He's really taught me a lot about understanding my internal landscape and knowing who I am and how I am showing up, and recognizing the healing that I need to do for myself for well-being, from a
Mm.
mental perspective, from a physical perspective, from a financial perspective,
Yes.
and also most definitely from a spiritual perspective, understanding that I need to make sure that I'm cultivating my own spirituality, my own faith, in order for me to be sustained in the multifaceted roles that I do hold. But at the end of the day, if I really want to live this integrated life, I have to have a firm foundation, and I have to depend on that firm foundation of my spirituality and my faith. And I also have to make sure that I myself, Tremaine, am getting what I need. So that's a journey that I've been on, and I'm on it till this day. So as I'm talking to you, I am learning and growing myself and taking
Yes.
care of my own well-being.
Well, let's stay in touch. Let's
Yeah.
stay in touch because we want Tremaine to remain.
Mm.
That's what we want. And no one wants that more than your wife. So I want to talk about her just a little bit
Mhm.
because as a spouse for me, my husband Brian, shout out to him. who puts it down for his wife for all these years from day one to day none. We say when we get out this marriage, we both gonna be in a casket somehow because we ain't sure ain't getting on these streets. And plus, I heard they got a Harvard app now, a Harvard dating app. Y'all don't get on that app. If the class of 2025, we trying to pay our last bit of rent and our money and loans and stuff. So y'all go back to another year. Just stay out the whole thing anyway and just wait for a good spouse. But anyway, the point is when we talk colleague to colleague, your husband to your wife, I'm a wife to my husband. And the question of who pays for your visit came to me because I know that he's paid a good amount.
Yeah.
Financially, physically, we've been apart for this year. He's back in Florida. I'm here.
Mhm.
So when we talk about when you're on this journey of well-being, I want the viewers to understand that in our lives we do have people who do fill our cup, and then but that's not their whole job. I just want y'all to know, stop burning these relationships down, trying to make them be your God. Okay, so let's go back to your wife and let's paint this picture of how well she's trying to feed into your well-being because she is her own person too.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the way I'm talking to you as my colleague, then she may have a different response as your wife, or as if shoes were reversed and I was on her, kind of like maybe kind of think of some of the things she would say, as well as just honoring her and her role for being that one right there, no days off, putting up with Tremaine every single day
Yeah. A man, there's the verse in the Bible says, a man who finds a wife finds a good thing
and finds favor
and finds favor. Absolutely.
of the Lord.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good.
So I definitely have that favor. I couldn't do anything that I do without her. I couldn't do anything in terms of the dreams and the goals that I've been able to achieve without her support and her love. So I'm incredibly grateful that she's been on this journey with me, and especially in this moment, because she has been kind of I'll admit it, she's been the breadwinner in this situation as being a full-time student. She's taking on the financial responsibility of making sure that we have everything we need to survive as a family. She's also taking on the responsibility of still being a mom and still being a wife. And I know that she has probably even more hands and toes and fingers that she could raise in terms of the roles that she has. So without her, I'm nothing. And without her support, I wouldn't be where I am. So I have to make sure that she gets her flowers while she's still here and stays with me and deals with all the multi complexities that I possess. She sees the lows, she
Yeah,
sees the low lows, but
yeah,
she also has been with me during the highs.
yeah.
And so I don't think everybody out there gets to see me, um, at least everybody outside of this house gets to see me in my lows, right? Because I don't always feel like I could share that with people as firmly as I want to be. And that's an area that I'm working on myself. But with her, I feel like that's the area that I want to grow in and continue to be vulnerable with her, because if she sees me in my lows, she knows how to pick me up. She knows what I need in that particular moment, and allows me to go back out here and do what I need to do to fulfill those roles that I listed earlier. So you got to have somebody strong with you who believes in you, who cares about you, and cares about the whole you, not just you when things are good, but through better for worse, through richer for. So you have to have somebody to support you during those times. And I know Siobhan does that for me willingly, freely, without even asking, without even begging. So I definitely owe her a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really important because when I was building Legacy School of Performing Arts, everybody knows my story of disaster with that. And I don't know if you know, but after that hurricane trying to rebuild, I ended up having a stroke.
Oh no.
And I ended up
You know
also
that?
being diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So for 7 years straight,
Mm,
I've been out of the workforce, I've been out of everything, and just God just healing me and doing something new in me. So this is my first time back to the public in 7 years.
wow.
You will see when I produce my career portfolio website shortly, not, shortly after. I am well honored, well respected, well regarded, well educated, but I am nothing without my support system.
Mm,
But in those moments of when things were going well and not so well, my husband and my family, they made a beeline to me.
mm,
So everybody else I call, the relationships I have, I'm mostly the person that's responsible for saying, "Hey, let's get together," or "Hey, how you doing?" Sending a good morning text, good afternoon text, a spiritual text. But with my family, those small people, they reach out to me to check on my well-being.
mm.
So when I think about Siobhan, not even have met her before, she's boots on the ground. That's the definition of boots on the ground.
Yeah, that's real.
Where the fans at? That's the definition of boots on the ground. My husband Brian was there through many things. He's also the primary breadwinner in these last 7 years for all that I've suffered, and including now in this opportunity. So I love to get the opportunity to build a show where I can build this in. This
Mm,
is a part of leadership redemption. This is a part of us as leaders being able to give voice to say, my wife right now is the primary bread. My husband right now is the primary breadwinner. But don't make no mistake about it, baby, because I still be doing what I need to do. Ain't like nobody giving me nothing still, but yet, if you don't be too proud, you gotta say, babe, you holding us down right now. And just wait till I get about this situation, what we
yeah.
gonna really be able to do. A couple things I want to leave with some people who are managing love relationships and also a love-hate relationship with your job
Mm,
and other areas. A few things I want you to be able to do between what I'm hearing Tremaine say and what I say. Tremaine, remind me, you are
I just turned 37. I'm old.
37.
I'm getting up there now.
You're getting up there slowly, slowly. So on all my podcasts, I always do a side by side age wise. So I'm 10 years older than him. So Trey just turned 37. I just turned 47 in February of this year. But we have both we're both spouses, we're both in leadership, we're both in Harvard, we both are in spirituality, church, both come from families the same thing, but
Mhm.
our output doesn't always is not always the same.
Yeah.
So when I am teaching music and training the voice and even all instrumentation, my thing is that when oneness is not sameness.
Mm,
You can be one. My spouse and I are one, but we're not the same. And so, as you are growing in leadership and you're trying to manage all these things, try not to make it the same. Because that's the inclination. I want to give this one, I want to give my 1 year old the same love I give my 10-year old, but my 10-year has had 10 years of my love, and my 1 year only had 1 year. Like then my 16-year old. So it's like now we're just becoming now one. Please take this note from me. Begin to bring your worlds together as though they are one. They're not the same and they may never be the same. And things that you can probably make the same, trust me, just by divine providence, they're going to come together.
mm,
We often get in trouble when we try to make it work. I'm gonna make you respect me. I'm gonna make you come to my show. I'm gonna make sure you no 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 no. No, I'm going to live my life like you're a part of my life. I'm going to write my story as though you are a part of my journey. And it keeps people pressure down that they're going to be left out of the version of new you because Harvard changes people. I know several people who done got them an upgrade on they who they want to be with since Harvard that got their head blowed up, honey. You try not to laugh at me, baby, because I know what I'm talking about.
You telling no lies. You tell no lies.
Listen, let me switch this out. Let me switch that out. Then I'll be fine. But you know what? Go ahead and do what you need to do. We're
Mm,
just giving you wisdom, sound wisdom, and we're giving you some food for thought that as you're leading in this critical time of complexity, crises, as you are delineating and making decisions, as you are taking care of your family, as you are about to make the transition like me, as you are about to get into self-care and more wellness like Trey, whatever you are doing, find yourself close to redemption.
Mm.
In every faith I know, whether it's in Hindu, whether it's in Muslim, whether it's in Baha'i, whether it's in Christianity, every God is always on the side of the oppressed. I'm just going to get quiet for a minute. Oppression is real. So therefore, when you're looking to find your next right move, find redemption in it. Find that thing where you feel like you need help pulling through. You need that wisdom. You need to call upon your lineage. You need to be able this go around, right? Because I was Miss Independent before. I can get it myself. I can do it myself. But when sickness and disaster came upon me, I need to reach out. That was my redemption. Whatever yours is, please find yourself being there and doing that. The last 5 minutes I want to talk about is lifespan. And when we discuss lifespan trade through my framework, it's through the lens that we have two paths. One is like the difference between healthcare and life insurance.
Mm.
We got healthcare to take care of our body when we're sick, but there's something to take care of us when we're dead. Okay. And so at this point, can you talk about your lifespan as a leader and what you were hoping to achieve long term, from today moving forward? What it is you are hoping to achieve as you enter into your residency, as you enter into your new title of being the doctor, and I think superintendent of schools, I don't know, but
Yep.
all of that. Can you tie us up and talk about lifespan and its importance in leadership?
Absolutely. I appreciate all the affirmations that you're giving me with the superintendency of schools, with
Uh-huh.
the doctorate. I'm
Uh-huh.
seeing that. I'm manifesting that. I appreciate that. That's filling my cup. So I appreciate you for saying those
Yeah.
things. My lifespan and leadership. I've always been a person that has always thought about, you have to have a succession plan as you go into whatever role, whatever title that you may have, and I'm not a person that really subscribes to roles and titles. I really care about the work that you do as an individual to help support and influence others. But I do know that roles and titles are a part of some folks' professional leadership trajectory and journey. And so, but you always have to have the mindset of having some sort of succession plan, knowing that you're going into a place, an organization, a system, and you want to make an impact and leave it better than you found it. And the two questions that I ask myself when I'm about to either make a pivot to either move to another role or go further on my trajectory. And as Rasheen said, I do have aspirations. One of my goals is to be a superintendent of a large urban school district one day, and that will happen hopefully here pretty soon.
Mhm.
But two questions that I always ask myself before I make a pivot or move to another position is the one question is, have I done enough to make an impact here?
Mm.
And the second question is, if I stay, will I continue to grow?
Ooh.
And if I can't answer those questions fully, then it's time for me to make a move.
Mm.
And so that's something I've used and I've been able to navigate positions and opportunities in that way. I mean, even in the last position that I had, I was only there for 2 years, but I felt like I made the amount of impact that I wanted to make, and I also felt like I wasn't growing anymore. And so for me, it was a desire and need to go to the next step, which made me make the decision to apply for the EDOD program because I wanted to continue to grow,
Mhm.
and I wanted to see if I can make impact, large scale impact at a different place. So when it comes to that lifespan of your leadership, ask yourself those two questions, and if you can answer them fully, or if you feel like that those questions are not where you want them to be, then that helps you and informs your decision on making another decision in your leadership trajectory, creating your succession plan. Because ultimately, what you want to do is go to wherever you are and make an impact and continue to grow in that space.
Mm. That's very interesting what you're saying. And what I'm picking out is when we use the word impact, am I making enough impact? And am I growing? Most people think about the word impact and it and automatically assume you're growing.
Right. Exactly.
They automatically assume that you got big muscles and a six pack. But to me, impact is that, if I can sum it up for the listener, impact in your work is the weights that you're lifting.
Hmm.
And then if you're lifting 10 pounds, it might not have a great impact on your muscles growth. But if you're lifting 10 pounds for 10 hours, now we're getting into impact.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. So then you're going to get into lifespan. How long do you think you're going to be able to keep that up?
Hmm.
That's lifespan. See?
Hmm. Hmm.
So then now growth is different, y'all. Okay, growth is different. So what Tremaine's questions are saying, I can make an impact. Trust me, baby. When I walk in a room, baby, it's gonna get on fire. I'm gonna tell you that now. But I also carry a fire extinguisher because if that fire get too big, baby, I'm about to I'm gonna get up out of here. And it's not about running from your obligations or the critical hope that he's talking about. It's not, it's different. It's just different. It's just different. Try it. Try looking into your own life. Impact is how is it weighing on me? Okay. I'm talking about weight, but then let's look at your numbers. You will have to know in your numbers wise, even when you're looking at your numbers. Like I do a lot of statistics. I'm great in coding. I love all that stuff. Even in your numbers, you can have a lot of numbers. You can have a lot of numbers. But is it touching the right thing?
Mm.
Is the numbers that you're testing out changing the right thing? And is the growth, and is it causing the thing you want to grow? Grow, think of the word when he's talking growth as expansion,
Hmm.
expansion, blossoming. Because by virtue of the mere fact that you plant a seed, it's going to grow. But but is it still a little teeny weed or did it grow this way? And some of us as leaders, we want to see tangible evidence that we have made an impact. And how do you see that you made an impact is when it grows. I've been at this a long time, y'all. Because black don't crack. Don't see how I look so young, baby, because black don't crack on the streets.
That's real.
So here we are. We are feeding you. We are co-creating. He gave me his story to go ahead and look through the lens of redemption for the last hour and a half. I've done that. He has allowed me to pull on his wisdoms and be a little bit more personal. He might not have another podcast where we can be this personable, call out his ancestors, call out his wife, name his children, all the faces that make Trey, right? Then he has allowed me to ask him, so Trey, give me some tangibles, like give us some little things. And so that affords me an opportunity to now say, this is what it looks like and be that facilitator or that translator for someone who's not at Harvard or someone who's not in leadership, but that's what you really want to do. So, as we come to a close, I always like to ask my guests to end by asking you, what are you leaving the table with, or what are you leaving on the table of redemption? And then the next one is close by telling me what anything you would like for me to know as I continue in this work to sit as a student to the work and continue to have these conversations as time goes forward.
Well, I wanted to say thank you for allowing me to experience the framework in a tangible way.
Okay.
You have really walked through my story as an individual and what I bring through a lens that I have not used before. So I really appreciate the framework and you just walking me through it. You've given me language, you've given me hope,
Mhm.
you've given me some opportunity to really reimagine and think about my own story, not as a traumatic experience, but the trajectory.
Come
So
on,
that's
something.
something that is really sitting with me and resonated with me. So I just thank you for giving me that, and I receive every affirmation that you gave me. So that's why I want to leave
Mhm.
with the table, and what I'll leave on the table is what I said earlier, and everything that you do, just provide hope for people, like help other people evolve. If you can just think about ways to do that, your life in itself is going to be phenomenal and great because you're pouring into others, you're helping other people evolve. And by doing that, you're also evolving too. So I'm just want to leave that for the table today. Thank you, Rasheen. This has been awesome. I really love this.
Well, we have to have you back soon as you get your dissertation, your capstone. I hope to be around to be able to be in the room, whether it be virtually or not, so I can see it come out of the degree. Say, one capstone coming up.
I love it. I love it.
And put that capstone on the table so we can then see who you are, the man you have become in this moment. And I would love for you and Siobhan to come on one day and just
Let's make it
hear.
happen. Yeah.
Seriously, because that's a critical part of the way you're smiling and the way you're able sustaining. So I would love to see that next year this time or whenever you're done, have her come on and be a part of that. And so I always leave the podcast by saying, I hope you have been well fed at this table, and I hope that you've ordered what you wanted at this table. At tables, you make contractual agreements. At tables, you eat. At tables, you make great decisions. At tables, you sign marriage licenses. People sign divorce decrees. There's so much that happens at tables that we are here to say to you, you have something to say. You have a life that's worth living. So when I call upon you next time, and I will find you, trust me, and I will see you in Gutman Library. That's an inside. That's an inside.
Yeah.
And I won't say that much, but I'll be like, so what do you bring to the table? The table of redemption. And I would love to hear you answer about your life, how you changed humanity, what you're doing to leave hope, and what you're doing to even bring healing and wholeness to yourself. So as we leave, we say thank you for joining us, and have a good day. Bye.
The Table of Redemption podcast disclaimers. Views expressed, branding, and mutual benefit. The Table of Redemption podcast is part of the collaborative refinement phase of the Leadership Redemption Framework before it goes to market. This is a research-based initiative led by myself, Rasheen Jamison-Richardson, your host. Guest participation contributes to scholarly exploration through narrative inquiry and receives platform exposure in return. Rasheen, myself, do not receive financial compensation from guest appearances or their affiliated work. This project is not formally endorsed by Harvard University, Harvard Graduate School of Education, or any institution or any sponsorships at this time. Any reference to anyone's brand, including Harvard's brand, are solely based on my academic experiences as a graduate student and now an alumni. And I do not imply institutional affiliation or approval on any of the content that I am producing. This is all my original work, designed, built, and invented by me across a 20-year experience as an educator and practitioner and researcher. All stories remain the intellectual property of the guest and are shared with mutual respect, transparency, and the shared goal of building bridges of hope and redemption in times of crisis. To continue following the Table of Redemption podcast, you may visit www.thetableofredemption.com. You may be able to find our content on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast.